Okay. So I had blossomed, my weight had blossomed. I had always been small, but between having children and just life and working office jobs, my weight had blossomed to over 200 pounds. I had been told for years that I had had a fatty liver, but nobody ever told me, none of my doctors I ever saw told me what to do to correct it, other than, no alcohol intake, no Tylenol, things like that. And so I had finally got approved through my insurance to have gastric bypass. I went through with it on December 30th of 2014. I had Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, where they reroute your intestines and everything. Come July 27th of 2015, that whole week I had just been feeling really bad, just under the weather, and my boss at where I worked at the time, she was just pushing me. She's like, I want you to leave here and go to the emergency room. You either need fluids, there's something going on. So I did, and I'm thinking worst case scenario, I'm just dehydrated. When I went in, they checked me and everything, and I had these rust-colored spots from my knees all the way down on my legs. Well, when the emergency room doctor saw them, he said, those are busted capillaries. I want to run a few more tests. And I was like, okay. Well, they decided to admit me, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, what's going on? They came in the next morning, sat down, and told me and my husband that I had cirrhosis of the liver. So my fatty liver had turned to cirrhosis. My first instinct, of course, was to say, well, I'm not a drinker. How can I have cirrhosis? And he said that's the common mistake amongst most people, is everybody relates that to alcohol. By October, well, I finally got in to see the specialist at Emory. I had been referred to Emory, and so I got in to see them. They scheduled my testing for a liver transplant because my MELD score came back as 18, and typically you don't even get on the list until it's around 20. They weren't expecting me to even be in the single digits. Like, they figured I was just turning there. Well, it came back 18, and so they were like, okay, we got to do something quick. So I spent all day at Emory doing test after test after test. That was October 30th. My family has a Halloween party every year, and I could not stand up on my own on the 31st. So I spent the whole Halloween party either on the couch or in the bed. Monday, my husband called me to check on me, and I would swell. So I looked like I was pregnant with triplets. That's how big my belly was. And so he wanted me to call and see about going and getting drained again. And he called me back at lunchtime to see if I had done it, and I was talking incoherent. And so he left work and called the ambulance, and they got there about the same time. Douglas County Hospital kept me alive until I could get to Emory. It took them 2 or 3 days to get me stable enough to go to Emory. And so they told my family that I was the sickest person there that they could keep alive. They tried to give me the first liver that they found, but it had a laceration, and so the doctor said I needed something that was perfect, that didn't have any lacerations or anything, because my body was so depleted that it wouldn't be able to heal itself. And on the 13th, I finally got my new liver. So the first time they set me up on the side of the bed, my head hit my knees. I spent a long time in the hospital. I had to go to rehab to learn how to walk and everything again. By November, the first weight they got on me after my transplant was 89 pounds. I was literally just skin hanging on bones. I actually had asked on my 1 year if I could celebrate. Can I have a drink of something to celebrate? And so we went to Florida, and my husband ordered me a mimosa because we were trying to think of something mild. I broke out all over, had an allergic reaction. So we immediately called my doctor. She's at Emory, I'm in Florida, and she was like, you're allergic to alcohol. Take some Benadryl, you should be okay. If you start feeling swelling or anything, you need to go to the hospital. So she said that my donor was so young that they probably did not know that they were allergic. I've tried reaching out to the family. You have to go through the foundation and everything, and I've never gotten a response. I try to justify that to myself that, it's not something they can hear or look at my face and see. I went through a lot of survivor's remorse because I was grown. I had grown children. Why did this child have to leave in order for me to survive? Obviously, he wasn't through with me yet. I had one grandchild at the time. Now I have 11. I'm here for them. I'm here for these children. And that's the only thing I can think of. This November will be 9 years. And so, in 9 years, I've never had any sign of rejection. Most people within the first 5 years have at least one, if not two, bouts of rejection. So I've been blessed and very lucky with that. And so, that's pretty much my story.